podcast. I am Peter. This is Al. Hi. Another
Hello.
episode, another good time. Apologies for looking a little rough here if you're watching. I just got out of the shower. Um, yeah, we got a good episode coming on. You have a couple topics you want to discuss, and I don't think I have anything hyper specific I want to get into, but there's probably one or two things I want to discuss, but that's after the fact. So let's start with what you've got today.
Okay. I'm going to refer to propaganda and censorship. Um, the Nazis wanted Germans to support the Nazi dictatorship and believe in Nazi ideas to accomplish this goal. They tried to control forms of communication through censorship and propaganda. This included controls of newspapers, magazines, books, art, theater, music, movies, and radio. When the Nazis came to power in 1933, the German Constitution guaranteed freedom of speech and freedom of the press through decrees and laws. The Nazis abolished these civil rights and destroyed German democracy. Starting in 1934, it was illegal to criticize the Nazi government. Even telling a joke about Hitler was considered treachery. People in Nazi Germany could not say or write whatever they wanted. Examples, again, of censorship was closing down or taking over anti-Nazi newspapers, banning and burning books that the Nazis categorized as un-German. The Nazis used propaganda to promote their ideas and beliefs, and beginning in March of 1933, the regime tried to centralize its propaganda efforts in a new ministry led by Joseph Goebbels. The ministry was called the Reich Ministry of Enlightenment and Propaganda. Now, how did propaganda and censorship work together? Textbooks are a good example of how propaganda and censorship worked together in the Nazi regime. Nazis used both propaganda and censorship to control what students read in school. Remember what I just said, to control what students read in school. Nazi censors removed some textbooks from classrooms. New textbooks taught students to obey the Nazi Party, love Hitler, and hate Jews. During the spring of 1933, Nazi university student organizations, professors, and librarians put together long lists of books they think are un-German. These lists include books written by Jewish authors. They also include books by non-Jewish authors whose ideas conflict with Nazi ideals. On the night of May 10th, 1933, Nazis hold book burnings. They march by torchlight in nighttime parades, sing chants, and throw books into huge bonfires. On that night, more than 25,000 books were burned. And a lot of this is on film that wasn't destroyed. Now, with that in mind, I want to refer to what's happening in Florida. I want to parallel what's happening in Florida, not just Florida, but other states. But I'm living in Florida for 20 years. I came here, I thought it was calm and peaceful and really great for a retiree. I'm 78 and I don't believe what I'm reading. In fact, sometimes I don't understand what I'm reading, and I'm pretty intelligent. So far, let me tell you what's happening. Books have been taken out of schools or forbidden under laws called HB 1467. They're either covered up, they're taken out. Parents have influence as to what books can go into schools. DeSantis has said what shouldn't be in the schools. Personally, I don't want another parent, if I had a child in school, determining for me what my child could read. Or I'm against that. And think of what the Nazis did. You take out books that have other thoughts, other beliefs, and you are like, following a conservative Republican, and I'm a registered Republican. I'm not proud of it, but following certain uh, political beliefs, and I don't like that. The Florida Senate voted to ban public schools and private businesses from teaching people to feel guilty for historical events. That means, in my estimation, that don't feel bad about what you read in history. It's not your fault. Don't put the onus on people today. Uh, different viewpoints on that. Now, Florida school directed to cover or remove classroom books that are not vetted. Now, who's vetting? Who is doing the vetting?
We're back.
Okay.
Technical difficulties. Apologies. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So Florida schools directed to cover or remove classroom books that are not vetted. And there are possible felony charges for teaching or having books that shouldn't be in your classroom, or teaching from books that shouldn't be in your classroom. The state said its Stop Woke Act applies to books displayed in the classroom. They don't want to hear about unpopular truths, our nation, our origin, including inequality, race, history, gender, or sexuality. Nice, huh, Pete?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Sounds like they want to change history. Librarians and teachers are being retrained to conform to DeSantis's guidelines. Teachers are under surveillance. Professors in colleges are under surveillance. Students at certain colleges have walked out and are protesting. The union, they're trying to bust the teachers union. And then we got other things going on. The Don't Say Gay law, HB 1557. Critical race theory targeting Black history, systematic injustice in race history cannot be taught. And certain things in history cannot be taught if it's going to make a youngster or any person ashamed of who they are. It's history. You learn about history, so history doesn't repeat itself.
Right, but see, here's the problem with this. It's okay. Let's just put this right here. What Florida's doing is aggressively wrong in every sense of the word. There's nothing correct about it, and those who say is correct are promoting a form of censorship and are mirroring that of Germany back in the day. So 100%, there's no argument against this, because Florida it's not like Florida's banning books that are pornographic or horribly gory. They're banning books with Black children on them, or they're banning books that have to do with people of color. They're banning books about gay kids.
Right.
So on top of that, you were saying there's a teacher shortage. 5,000 vacancies in Florida currently, right now. I was looking at an article about it. There are 5,000 vacancies, which means that there's more than 100,000 students currently going to school without a full-time teacher. And according to SPAR, more educators are planning to leave due to the current educational environment. it is it really is one of those situations where, sometimes you can make the argument there is no right or wrong. It depends on how you look at it, the perspective. There is a right and wrong. This is wrong. There's no conversations. There's no, well, but what if this or what if that? None at all. Absolutely none. Because if you want to ban books with Black kids on it and you want to ban books about gay kids, then we need to ban anything that's religious, because that's an influence. Not everyone's Christian, not everyone's Muslim, not everyone's Jewish. We need to ban all religions, every single one. Truly have a separation of church and state. But
Correct.
again, but isn't this America the free? Aren't we supposed to have freedom to choose? So why are you banning books? Children's books, no less. Aside from the other problems that go on in America, like certain parts of the country are just not teaching parts of history, like the Trail of Tears. I remember that one happened 2 years ago. People were talking about that the Trail of Tears was literally just removed out of the textbook because
Yeah.
certain Midwestern countries don't want to teach it. And you made a comment about how like kids would feel bad.
Yeah.
And
That's what.
the problem is the only people who actually feel bad are the adults, because either they were alive to do these problems and participate in these problems, or their parents were. So of course they feel bad. The kids have nothing to feel bad about, because if you teach them properly, there's no reason to feel bad because it's history. I don't I like I can recognize the pain and the trauma that's gone through a variety of people of color. You know, we've got Black people when in terms of slavery. We've got Asian people of Asian descent when it came to the railroads. We've got the Jewish people. We've got the Irish people. We've got Spanish people. All different people, and we can learn that in history, and we can be empathetic and sympathetic as well towards these people and their situations. But if they're taught properly, no one has to feel bad, because unless you're actively participating in it, which I I don't see a ton of people actively participating in slavery right now, unless you want to talk about the prison system, but that's separate. Um, I don't actively see people running cotton fields right now, so uh, you shouldn't feel bad for that. Recognize, work towards doing better, work towards understanding, not just reciprocating the information, but understanding the trauma and the pain, and that society is still treating these people horribly, just not the way it was historically, where they're being treated differently through redlining and racism and a variety of other things that we can get into on another time.
Yeah,
But
Peter.
the children don't need to feel bad. That's just adults projecting their own feelings because they feel bad or they realize that they've been caught with their pants down and they're trying to make rules to save the kids. It's not going to save a damn person aside from the fact. And we also have the internet. So these kids are going to get that information regardless. So I don't
That's
like
correct.
that's the real thing that I don't get, right? These
Yeah.
kids are
What bothers me is the push by the state to retrain librarians and teachers who have advanced degrees in education and push forth these political oriented views uh, as to what should be taught. And that bothers me. And
and what's worse is it's a very precarious situation, right? Teachers leaving only benefits the state because one of two things happens. One, they just now are going to force teachers to be teachers of classes of 50 and 100 rather than 25, which is already too much. Or they're going to hire the most garbage educators or people who are not actually certified and who are just going to be yes men for the state and go, yeah,
yeah,
that's fine. We can ban all the books and we'll just
yeah,
teach them. We'll teach them whatever you say, whatever you say.
Yeah, but DeSantis has raised, teachers' salaries. That's how he covers his behind. Um, but I have one more thing I want to say, and
Yeah,
then
go
you
ahead.
could respond again. Also, I'm so against state or government taking over, whether it's abortions, uh, anything, because they screw up everything.
Right.
Uh, now, right now, it's either passed or trying to be passed that transgender surgeries for youths or hormone therapy or puberty blockers will not be permitted. It'll be against the law. Uh, that's like what they did in Germany. You know, I don't get this. I mean, this is ridiculous. Uh, in addition to that, one good thing has happened, whether it happens or not. Over the last 6 months, there have been a lot of great many attacks on Jewish temples, synagogues, and Jews. So a bipartisan uh, bill targets anti-Semitic incidents in Florida by making them third-degree felonies. So Mike Caruso said he's a Republican or a representative from Delray Beach. Yeah, he's a Republican. He said enough is enough, and he filed a bill last week. And he said legislatures have to act. And all these things. DeSantis is running. They say is going to run for president, uh, and I don't think he's pro union. Pro teachers union and such. Uh, I don't like what's happening here. It parallels too much what's happened in Germany. And now we just have another thing, the loosening of gun carry laws, which will make us, I'm not sure what the number is, one, if passed, will make us one of 26 or 28 other states that, you just have to be vetted and you can get a carry permit to get a gun, or I don't even know. I'm not even sure what it's going to be, but it's very, very loose. So I'm looking at what happened in 1933 with Hitler, with the propaganda and the way that censorship took place. And over here, do you have any other responses?
I got tons of responses. I'm trying to see if I can find there was uh, a recent video of what the hell is his name? He was a reporter. He's a well-known reporter, and he went up against one of these Republican people, and he combats a lot of what they have to say, and he sits down and he really like clearly goes after what they got to say. And I was very, very surprised. I can't fucking find it. It was like a week ago. Um, anyways, it's it really is just about control and selfish purposes. There is no genuine reason for these things, right? Like, oh, people want to have the right to their guns. We want to make it easier for people to get guns. What, like, but they're going to make it harder for people to get other things like birth control, or like they have to sign so many things, go through so many hoops and go through so many things. And that's going to probably be banned too at some point. But I can get a gun, right? Like an someone who's below the age of 18 or at the age of 18 is not allowed to read a book about a black girl, but and also can't get birth control, but can enlist in the army and buy a gun and do these things. They just don't mix. And it's not, there's no logical connection as to why or how this genuinely benefits society. What it's about is people who are pissed off that their society is changing around them. So they're trying to change it back. And they're trying to gain control over the things that they can control, i.e.,
And change
guns and whatnot.
and also changing history.
Well, right. I mean that's its own problem, but America has had its own issues of changing history since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of America's time. They've constantly changed history. Everything's consistently been whitewashed. The difference from 20 years ago to now is we have the internet. We can hold people accountable and we can
Yeah.
document and archive individually what happens. So now the textbooks are not written by the victors because the textbooks are not always correct at this point. My favorite thing that I learned was um, that the textbooks, even when I was growing up, they put images of people like Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers and people who were trying to invoke change in society in black and white because they were trying to push them farther back in history. They were trying to remove the fact that Martin Luther King was actually pretty recent. They were trying to show to psychologically push kids to understand that, oh, that was way too long ago. You like don't feel inspired to ignite that fire and really push for progress anymore. No, don't do that. It's too far away. You don't have to worry about that. And that's all across these textbooks. Small little forms of whitewashing and brainwashing and changing of history. The difference now is one, they don't care. People like DeSantis just don't care. They're just going to do it out in the open, and they're very happy to do it because there are other people who don't care, and they're just going to gain their cult following of Nazis, of modern day Nazis, and build this empire that they're trying to build. And it's
I'm
concerning.
not saying, Peter, I'm not saying DeSantis is a Nazi. He's not a Nazi. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
the
hold on.
techniques,
Yes,
techniques.
yes, we're not going to outwardly claim that, but what I'm saying, yes, he's mirroring. His techniques are very similar.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. I'm not
Yeah.
outwardly going to point. No, what he's
Yeah.
doing is very, very similar. And what he is attempting to do is mirroring a lot of what's going on. Regardless, even if he wasn't mirroring them, it's a big problem. It's a huge problem, and it goes against what he claims to be. He's very much America the free. I want my freedom, the freedom to have my guns, but not the freedom for kids to learn actual history, but not the freedom for girls to get birth control because their periods are medically problematic. Um, but not for kids to get top surgery or bottom surgery. But parents can select their kids to for their boys to get their first getting mutilated and pulled and ripped off because for religious purposes when they don't even have a choice. But 18-year-olds don't get to choose when they want to change their top. It doesn't make sense. There's no actual foundational reason for these things other than selfish and delusional purposes. So it is, and it's really easy to um, look at it as this massive, massive thing. And I think it is a huge problem. But I think it's also important to remember that it's currently still in Florida. Like there's other states that are doing similar things like Texas and like some of the other ones in the Midwest, or the like the South Midwest, right? Sure. But also remember it's not going on everywhere. There may be people feeling empowered in a lot of other states, but it's not going on everywhere. Um,
Yeah,
and I
because
think that's
we got to learn from history. That's why I would like to see what the librarians and teachers and professors, what their guidelines for their curriculum is going to be. I mean, I was a teacher for 33 years, and I would like to see how they have to teach, what they're going to have to teach. Remember, we've discussed this before.
it's gonna be all victories. That's all it is. They're gonna just the whole of the history is gonna be white victory. That's all it is. That it's very obvious by what they're banning in the books. They're gonna ban every single book that even has an image of a person of color on it. It's only gonna
Well,
be white books, and they're gonna portray white people in the best physical means of possible. So, oh well, yeah, we had some, they had some slaves, but it wasn't that bad. Uh, uh, Jewish people were mishandled, so somewhat, but it wasn't that bad. We gave them some things. We helped them out. Yeah, my ass, but that's what it's going to be because it's
Yeah,
a projection. That's what they're doing. They want to portray it as the best possible means when historically it's just not that way. But people don't want to admit that because they feel like they have to take responsibility unless you were actually to blame, like someone like DeSantis whose parents may have actually participated, or someone like Trump's parents who may have actually participated. Um, then yeah, maybe maybe you do got something to reconcile with. But that
yeah,
doesn't mean you have to like go out into the middle of the street and flog yourself. It just means that you got to not be a dick and
yeah,
work towards bettering society. You don't have
yeah.
to,
And DeSantos, if you look at his history, was was an all-American boy,
right.
an all
No, of
yeah,
course. And
yeah.
it makes perfect sense why he's trying to get back to his youth because he misses his youth of when he could do whatever he wanted as a young white American boy and he could get away with about 85% of whatever the hell he wanted to do, whether it was to women, to people of color, to the law. He
Well,
could do whatever he wanted, and he misses that. He
well,
misses the freedom.
well. He was uh, an athlete. Went to the Little League World Series. Played
Right,
baseball. He
right.
went to, I think, what, Harvard. He went to law school. I mean, he was a parent's dream, and many accomplishments. But like you've brought this up many times in the past. History, if you read history books, and that's why you have to have books that have different opinions. If you read one book, it'll show how when our cavalry fought the Indians, it was a victory. When they beat us, it was a massacre. When it was in
Right.
reverse, we massacred hundreds, 100,000 or more Indians.
Well, that's my favorite, right? Like learning about Thanksgiving as a kid that they sat down and they had some turkey together and it's this really cute dinner. No. No, they slaughtered each other. Specifically, America was slaughtering the living hell out of the natives. It wasn't this cutesy little turkey dinner. That's a holiday that they created to cover up what happened. It was not fun. It was not cute. It was not beneficial to a soul. It was awful. And the natives would love to tell you about how awful it is. But guess what? There's so little of them left. And the ones that are still here are on their own little reserve, their own little park, their own little zoo that America has corralled them into because they don't get their land back. America said, we know you guys are the original people of this land. We'll give you this like little plot of land. You guys can semi-thrive there. We're not really going to give you any help. No money, no
Mm-hmm.
resources, no
Mm-hmm.
power, no nothing, no plumbing. But we're also going to make you pay. Um,
Yeah.
but
Well,
apologies for causing mass genocide to your entire lineage. Here's some land. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
yeah. Can you imagine uh, the state telling? Oh, I can't imagine the state telling me what I can and can't do with my child, uh, and setting up laws that if I break, I'm going to get fined or go to jail. Can you imagine the state telling your mother what she can or cannot do? That's what bothers me. So anyway, I have nothing more to say on this. Do you?
Uh, it, at this point, it's just we'd be talking in circles saying the exact same things. It's an awful
Yeah,
situation. It really shows the mental deterioration of certain parts of society for those that support it. And it shows that no matter how educated you are, feelings over facts for some people. A Harvard grad, feelings over facts. So
yeah.
with
Let's
that,
see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. We're gonna take a quick break. I gotta swap clips because Zoom likes to cut us off. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. Um, it's funny, as we just finished talking, I saw someone point this picture about Florida and sort of the rhetoric that's been going on about like trans and stuff, and how, oh, drag is grooming small kids. And this person makes a very specific comment that I find very interesting and I agree with. They say drag queens going to like a kid's elementary school to read books is not grooming, and drag shows is not grooming. But what is grooming is old men on the internet, because there's a lot of old men that love to groom on the internet. They like to play as young boys, like to talk to young boys or girls. Beauty pageants. You ever see the TLC TV show of
No.
the toddlers in tiaras? You're telling me
Oh,
that's
yes. I've seen that. That's
That's the
grooming.
definition of grooming. These kids are prancing around in bathing suits where grown men, most of the judges are men, by the way. Some are women, but most of them are old men, judging who is the prettiest and who is the hottest. And these young toddlers are doing these provocative dances in bikinis and bathing suits. That's grooming.
Yeah.
A lot of youth pastors and over 4,000 Catholic priests. Um, and that's not a theory. That is documented information about specifically Catholic priests, and how they it was so much of a big deal that they made a movie about it. How Catholic priests will do that, and they will groom and um, sexually assault young, specifically boys, but people in general. And the church will, instead of actually handling it, move them to another church. Similar to how cops do the same thing. When a cop does something wrong, they don't actually fire him, they just move him to another precinct. Same deal. Same deal. And then people forget about it, or they don't know because they put them in a town that people don't know about it, and they cover it up. So just to sort of end that bit, I saw that while we were swapping over.
Okay.
Now, the transition to something else that is interesting to say the least. It has to do with Mr. Beast. Happened recently. You and I have given Mr. Beast a lot of praise. There's a lot of things we've discussed in general about Mr. Beast, but specifically we have given him praise, and we spoke about the whole, societally it's not great that a YouTuber has to fix 1,000 people's eyesight. Why are we not having a healthcare system that's set up for these people to just get it fixed?
Right.
But what he did, and so he's given a lot of money away. He seems like a great guy, right? Something that occurred recently is he posted on Twitter. He said, "Hey, if you see my chocolates because he's got chocolates like Feastables or something." He said, hey, he posts a picture of the chocolates. They're all messy and turned over, and he goes, "Hey, if you see the chocolates all messed up, can you do me a favor and fix them up, make them look pretty, so that people will see them and buy them? It'll make me really happy. We're going to get a team to do that. I'm building a team of people who will do that for me. But for now, can you do that for me?" That's free labor. That's unpaid labor. That, let alone the conversation of like child labor. And then he furthers it by saying, by half joking and saying, "And if you could like put the Hershey bars, hide the Hershey bars and turn them over, because and he's trying to be silly about it. People ripped him apart. Some people were, because he's Mr. Beast, they were hoping that if they did a good deed, that he would invite them to his place for a video where they have a chance at winning $200,000. So people posted pictures. "I did what you asked, Mr. Beast. Do you like me?" But a lot of people ripped him apart and said, "We're at this point in late stage capitalism where a multimillionaire YouTuber is asking his fans to do his marketing work for him. and doing his shelving work. And it's crazy. It really is crazy because Mr. Beast is someone that I've always had a difficult time with because I do love the good things that he's doing, the money he's giving, the help that he gives, like with the eyesight. But there's something off. There's something that's never felt 100% great with him. And this is arguably confirmation bias for me, but it is part of what I'm talking about. This bothers me. Now, I don't think he meant it. He might have, but I don't like, I'm going to try and give him the benefit of the doubt and say, I don't think he meant to be a bitch about it and skirt around these things. I think he was just thinking of ways to activate the community and have them participate and also sell his chocolates. Um, but it's free labor, and it's like this is not something that should be praised. This is not something that we should be doing. It was just such a fascinating
Yeah,
occurrence that happened whatever 3 or 4 days ago, and then in response, uh in an attempt to amend it, he was decided he was going to donate $100,000 to a charity that the community decides on. Like, that's great. You still didn't pay your workers because your workers you just hired to go fix your chocolate bars. You didn't pay them, but you put money towards a charity. Congratulations. That's more of a tax write-off for you. You know,
yeah,
weird.
yeah. Uh, like we did a video with him about him last week, I believe, and these things are sensationals. In the great picture of what's happening in the world today and in our country, it's insignificant. Um,
Well, no, I don't. That's the thing. I don't think it's insignificant at all because if Mr. Beast can get his fans for free to do his marketing, removing chocolate bars off the shelves so that his chocolate bars are more present for free, right? Just because he's got a fan base. Who's to say that every company's not going to do that? Why?
yeah,
Like, and
but they are
where do
doing it, Peter. They are doing it.
no, there
Your your
no.
your iPhone is made in China, and they're paying spit to the employees, to the people that make it. I mean,
No, I know, but what I'm saying is yes, the sweatshops and the low income people that are being paid to make these things in other countries, that's a consistent problem. But what I'm talking about is, and yes, there's child labor laws that are going on, like with Nike and all these things, right? But they still have to ship these things and they still pay these people, no matter how small. Mr. Beast just did this for free. He just did it for free and he did it in America. He didn't ship some people from a foreign country and tell them, I'll put you in a video for some views and convince them that views equal food and money and then put them to work.
so
He
let's for this
convinced
moment.
he
Let's for this
convinced
moment.
population within America to do labor for free as well as harm other organizations, which that's a separate conversation as well.
Yeah, but
Apple is
yeah,
mistreating and improperly paying its workers in other countries, but they're
yeah,
not
but
actively setting bombs out at Samsung's factories to destroy their stuff. What Mr.
let
Beast told these kids to do was hide other companies' products. And that's a problem because these companies pay Walmart and Target and ShopRite to have their stuff on the shelves. So all you're doing is just making more work for the people in the ShopRite or the Kings of the Walmart because they have to now go find that chocolate and put it back on the shelves. And
ingenious.
it just becomes this mess of a problem. And then on top of the whole thing, um, timing wise was really awful for Mr. Beast. He inadvertently uh became very his decision to hide the chocolate bars made him transphobic. by association, because apparently Hershey was doing a campaign on pro-trans people. And on their chocolate bars is trans women. And Mr. Beast told people to hide these bars. And
Yeah,
so
well,
by hiding these bars, he's actively campaigning against trans people. So he inadvertently made a very transphobic action occur. And
yeah,
you get
yeah. That's
so
why we got
so
to be careful what who we choose as our heroes.
right, but it also, like, about the specific person like Mr. Beast as well, is why we have to be careful with what we say and do. How about, instead of being dishonest and asking for free labor because you're the cool, quirky guy who, gives everyone millions of dollars, why not just not ask people, build the marketing team, and then do it? Why, like,
Mm.
you're doing fine. You're like,
Maybe he
it,
just made a mistake.
no, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, his further response was to give money to charity. Now, and so we'll see. Maybe he
Mm.
apologizes. I don't
Yeah,
know. Maybe he apologized today, and I haven't checked yet. I
yeah.
don't like follow it religiously. It just
Hmm.
comes up periodically. I'm like, oh, nice, wonderful.
Mm.
But it
Mm.
further shows, and there's further conversation of, like, even good people, shall we say, quote unquote, good people like Mr. Beast, can get out of touch and really lose his sort of ear to the ground sense of personality, because realistically, that's free labor, free marketing, and he's actively campaigning and telling people to remove other products and deface and destroy other products.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a problem.
yeah, although it was just a movie, I remember, and I'm not quoting it word for word. I remember in The Godfather, I don't know who was God, I think it was Godfather 3, or, uh, when the Godfather, Al Pacino, is trying to go straight and he goes to the Vatican. And basically, somebody said to him, how can you get absolution with all the bad things you've done? And basically, he alluded to the fact, look, all you got to do is pay for it. So you make a donation, you get absolution. Get forgiveness. It doesn't have to be, on a religious basis, but people
Well,
will
no,
remember.
it very much can be on the religious basis, in
Yeah.
that that's how most shall we say, Christian churches, at least from my experience, Christian churches work. You give them $100. Ah, you killed someone? No, it's okay. You start seeking God today. You're a good man now. It's okay. It's okay. You sexually assaulted a woman last week? No, you gave $50. You're fine. You're good. It's okay.
Yeah.
You've converted as of today. You're good. Don't worry. Just give more money. That was like a, oh God, that just cued this memory I've read. Joel Osteen recently apparently said, if God wanted me to give more money to the poor, or so, like, if God wanted me to help more people, he wouldn't have given me $70 million. He's
Yeah.
claiming that because God gave him this 7 million, 70 million, or 17 million, or whatever the millions it was, millions and millions, I think it was 70 million. He's claiming that because God, quote unquote, gave him the $70 million, that it was meant for him to spend and not to go to charity and not to help people, because
Yeah.
God gave him the money. Oh
Uh,
my God, what the
and
hell kind of trash is this?
yeah,
Oh
and
my God. But to
a lot
swing
of
it back to what you
a lot of
to
people believe every word he says.
to swing back to what you said. Yes, it goes deeper than just the churches. Yeah, there's a lot that you can, just about anything you can get with money. If you've got enough of it, you can get just about anything.
Money
if
gets you
not.
honey. Money gets you honey.
Yeah, there's a guy right now. I was making a TikTok about it the other day. Guy's spending $2 million a day trying to uh create with scientists anti-aging.
Yeah, I read it.
$2 million a day. What the hell?
Yeah,
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want is to exist more, longer in this society. God help me. Oh my
yeah.
God.
Well, you know what
Yeah.
they say. There's an old saying. You don't start existing in this society until your kids are grown, finished with college, or they're not going to college. They're out of the house, and the pets die.
So like 50.
Yeah, yeah, about 50. That's right.
Because
So,
your pets usually tend to outlast, right? Your kids leave the house around in your
yeah,
40s and the pets probably leave you around 50. So great.
yeah,
I so that means I don't actually get to be a part of this society until I am 50. And that
yeah,
means I've got about 30 to 40 years to I get less time to actually be a part of society because it's 30 to 40, but those last like 10 don't really count. You don't really,
yeah,
the last 10, where, you just
yeah,
coast,
yeah.
you just coasted on the last like 5 to 10. Depends on who you are. Some people, they're good till the end, but some you just
Hmm.
coast.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
So,
God.
with that in mind, I do hope getting back to what's happening in Florida and some parts of the world. I hope we don't uh, become too much more. Don't become like the Nazi regime. Um, although with a lot of white nationalists, and there are more Nazis in the United States than in any place in the country in the world. Uh, I hope that we straighten our act out,
I would
because
love for that to happen. I would absolutely love it.
yeah,
Um, but who
and
knows? Who
and I
knows? Worst
really
case
look
scenario.
forward. Really look forward, if it's going to happen, to DeSantis against Trump. I want to hear what they say about each other.
We'll see.
So
Because next year, it's voting time again.
yep,
Can't wait to vote for another old ass,
octogenarian, huh?
a geriatric. I cannot wait to vote for another geriatric because old white men are the only ones who make it towards the end of the thing. Cannot wait to
Terrible,
have to go fighting
terrible.
again? Bernie? Or attempting
No,
to be Nazis? I the
uh,
senile one, the one who's older than dust, or
yeah,
book banning attempted Nazis. Great
yeah.
picks. Amazing picks. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm gonna
That's
put my
why I
money
always.
on.
That's why I always say, Peter. I know you don't like it, but your friends and you who are intelligent
No.
people should get into politics.
No, because it's no. I can participate in politics by actively doing things, right? Doing walks and fighting the good fight and doing the things I should. Doesn't mean I need to be in politics. Like I don't need to have a seat in the House. Um, that's just no, no thanks. My
Okay,
life does
well,
not need. I will continue to do my best to educate and participate in politics, um, because it
I
is
hope
important
so.
to me and it's important to my friends who are actively dealing with it. Um, but I will not
Mhm.
invest my life into it because at the end of the day, if you gave me the opportunity to move to another country and like have a full-time job that's wonderful and bye.
Not me. I still think just because we got problems here, and just because in the United States we got some terrible people, we have some really wonderful people, and I still think that this is a wonderful country that just has to fix itself.
Look,
So,
empires have
yeah,
historically only lasted 250 years. We're
I
at
know that.
246. So that
I
means
know
this
that.
next president historically is going to cause the downfall of society.
Oh, it could be. It could be.
so,
It could be.
so
So,
just
and
saying, we're at like 256, 257. So this next president, whatever he or she is gonna do, it's going to implode.
yeah,
So
could be.
that's
Yeah.
ridiculous, absolutely
Uh,
ridiculous. Anyways,
okay.
before we sign off, I wanted to give an update on my skin, my shots. I think the last episode I discussed I got approved for my shots. I took my first shot. Went well, was easy, no side effects, no ramifications, no nothing. We will see in the
Good.
long term. But
Okay.
as of right now, I'm doing good. In 2 weeks, I take the next one. And then, so actually, around, I think it'll be the next episode, assuming we stay on time. The next episode will be a couple days before my next shot. And then after that, it's
Mazel tov.
every, whatever, 12 weeks or something. Um,
Mazel tov. Very good.
so it
Mazel tov.
will, and then I start the road to recovery. So yeah, just
Yeah,
wanted to give an update on that.
I hope
Um,
so. I hope
with
so.
that being said,
That would be nice.
with
Uh,
that being said, I hope everyone has a good rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you are, however you are. I hope you are doing good. And though we may talk about doom and gloom to a degree on this podcast, I hope you find some peace in your day.
yeah,
And I
let's hear
hope you
from you.
find some love in your day. By
Yes,
all
yes.
means, send us messages, comment, text us, talk to us, call us, whatever. If you want to come on the podcast, let us know. We can talk about things. Um, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to participate. Or if you just have a question that you want us to talk about on the next episode, please. Doesn't have to be political, doesn't have to be anything. It could just be what's our favorite food. Yeah. With that, I'm gonna say peace out.
Peace out.